You ready for this? Imagine way back in time, like 1859. You're just settling in for the night, maybe reading by candlelight, when suddenly the sky explodes with light. But it's not fireworks. It's the aurora borealis, so bright you could read a newspaper by it. That's what happened during the Carrington event, the most intense solar storm ever recorded. And guess what? We're in for a wild ride like that again, because the sun is ramping up and we're right in the middle of it. Welcome to Cosmos in a Pod, the Space and Astronomy series. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. We're diving deep today into the solar maximum, this crazy period of intense solar activity that happens every 11 years.
What's fascinating here is that it's all tied to the sun's magnetic field. It flips every 11 years, kind of like a giant cosmic magnet turning itself over, and that flip triggers a surge in activity. We're in solar cycle 25 right now, and it's been a real humdinger, even stronger than scientists initially predicted.
So it's not just some distant cosmic light show. What happens on the sun directly affects us here on Earth. But how exactly does this solar cycle work?
Think of it like a heartbeat, a rhythmic pulse of energy. The sun goes through periods of high activity with lots of sunspots, solar flares, and coronal mass ejections, which are these massive bursts of plasma and magnetic field. Then it settles down into a quieter period before ramping up again. And that whole cycle from quiet to wild and back again takes about 11 years.
And right now we're in the peak of that wild phase, the solar maximum, right?
Exactly. NASA officially declared the solar maximum's arrival back in October 2024.
And I remember reading about that gigantic sunspot active region 3364. It was like 17 times the size of Earth. That thing was spitting out solar flares like crazy, causing geomagnetic storms and those incredible auroras we talked about earlier.
It was quite a sight. But those beautiful auroras are just one side of the coin. These solar storms can pack a real punch when it comes to our technology.
Yeah, I mean, we're so reliant on technology these days. GPS, satellites, power grids. It's almost like we've built this fragile world, and now the sun is reminding us just how vulnerable it all is.
You're absolutely right. Disrupted communications, power grid failures, even damage to satellites. These are all very real possibilities during intense solar activity.
And we've seen it happen before, haven't we? Like with the Carrington event you mentioned earlier. That was back in 1859, right? Weren't telegraph systems going haywire all over the place?
Absolutely. Telegraph operators were getting shocked, telegraph paper was catching fire, and auroras were visible as far south as the Caribbean. It was a global event, and it showed us just how powerful the sun can be.
That's incredible. But it wasn't just a one-off event, right? I mean, haven't there been other instances where solar storms have messed with our technology?
Oh, definitely. Take the New York Railroad storm in 1921, for example.
Yeah.
It caused widespread disruption to telegraph and telephone systems, even sparking fires in some railroad signal equipment. And then more recently, in 1989, we had the Quebec blackout, where a solar storm triggered a major power outage, leaving millions of people in the dark for hours.
Those events really drive home how dependent we are on our technology and how vulnerable it is to these solar outbursts. I mean, if a solar storm could cause that much chaos back then, what could it do to our super-connected world today?
That's the big question, isn't it? And it's one we need to be seriously thinking about, because the stakes are much higher now. Just imagine a widespread internet outage or GPS systems going down or a major power grid failure. The consequences would be immense. It is a sobering thought, isn't it? Our world runs on this delicate web of interconnected systems, and a powerful solar storm could disrupt that web in ways we can't even fully anticipate.
Exactly. And it's not just about inconvenience. We're talking about potential disruptions to emergency services,
Yeah.
financial systems, transportation networks. The ripple effects could be enormous.
You're hitting on a crucial point there. The impact wouldn't just be technological, it would be deeply societal and economic as well.
So what can we do about it? Are we just sitting ducks waiting for the next big solar storm to hit?
Not at all. The good news is that we're not starting from scratch. We've learned a lot from past events, and we're actively working on ways to protect ourselves.
Okay, so what's being done? What are some of the strategies to mitigate the risks from these solar storms?
Well, for one, we're getting much better at monitoring and predicting space weather. Think of it like terrestrial weather forecasting. But instead of tracking rain clouds and wind patterns, we're tracking solar flares and coronal mass ejections.
So we're keeping a closer eye on the sun, trying to anticipate these outbursts. Are we getting any better at it?
Absolutely. Scientists are constantly refining their models, using data from satellites and ground-based observatories. To improve the accuracy of space weather forecasts, the goal is to give us as much warning as possible so we can take steps to protect our critical infrastructure.
That makes sense. But what about the technology itself? Can we make it more resilient to these solar storms?
That's another key area of focus. We're designing more robust satellites, hardening power grids against surges, and developing backup systems to ensure critical services can stay online, even during disruptions.
So tougher satellites, more resilient power grids. What does that look like in practice?
Think of it this way. Imagine a satellite with extra shielding to protect its sensitive electronics from the radiation blast of a solar flare, or a power grid with strategically placed capacitors. That can absorb the excess energy from a geomagnetic storm, preventing widespread blackouts. These are just some examples of the innovations happening right now.
That's really encouraging. It sounds like we're taking this threat seriously and making real progress in safeguarding our technology. But all of this focus on protecting things here on Earth makes me think about the bigger picture. What about space exploration? Won't astronauts be even more vulnerable to these solar storms if they're out there beyond Earth's protective magnetic field?
That's a critical point. As we venture further out into the solar system, we need to be even more vigilant about space weather. Protecting astronauts from radiation exposure will be paramount, and we'll need to design spacecraft that can withstand the harsh environment of deep space, including solar storms.
So stronger shielding, more advanced life support systems. It's almost like space exploration is pushing us to the cutting edge of technology, forcing us to develop even more innovative solutions to survive and thrive in the cosmos.
Exactly. And the knowledge we gain from tackling these challenges in space will undoubtedly benefit us here on Earth as well.
It's a fascinating feedback loop, isn't it? Our exploration of space is driving technological advancements that, in turn, help us to better understand and protect our own planet.
It's a beautiful example of how interconnected everything is. What we learn out there in the vastness of space can often be applied right here at home, leading to a more resilient and sustainable future for all of us.
It makes you wonder what other surprises and challenges the universe has in store for us and what kind of incredible innovations we'll come up with to meet them.
And that's the beauty of exploration, isn't it? It's a journey of discovery, pushing the boundaries of our knowledge and our capabilities.
Speaking of journeys, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, haven't we? From the science behind the solar maximum to the potential impacts on our technology and the steps we're taking to protect ourselves both here on Earth and as we venture further out into space.
It really has been quite a journey. And, it highlights that dynamic relationship we have with our sun. It's that source of life and energy. But it also presents us with these incredible challenges, right?
It's almost like a cosmic dance, this delicate balance between the sun's power and our own ingenuity.
And this dance is only going to get more intricate as we continue to push the boundaries of technology in exploration.
So what does all this mean for you, our listeners?
Yeah.
Why should you care about the solar maximum and all of its potential impacts?
Well, for starters, it's a reminder that we live in a dynamic and interconnected world. What happens on the sun millions of miles away can have a very real impact on our lives here on Earth.
Yeah. It is like a wake-up call, a cosmic wake-up call, urging us to be more aware of our place in the universe and the forces that shape our existence.
Exactly. And it underscores the importance of scientific understanding, technological innovation, and international cooperation.
Yeah, because ultimately, we're all in this together, right?
Yeah.
We need to work together to understand these risks and mitigate them, to build a more resilient future for ourselves and for generations to come.
Absolutely. And beyond the challenges, there's also that sense of wonder and awe, right? The sun is a source of incredible beauty and power, and studying it helps us unravel the mysteries of the universe.
And who knows what other discoveries await us as we delve deeper into the cosmos. Maybe we'll find ways to harness the sun's energy in even more sustainable and efficient ways. Or maybe we'll unlock the secrets of space weather, enabling us to predict and even control these solar storms.
The possibilities are truly endless, and that's what makes this field so exciting. There's always something new to learn, something new to explore.
So for all of you listening out there, keep looking up, keep asking questions, and keep exploring. The universe is full of surprises, and there's always more to discover.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the solar maximum here on Cosmos in a Pod. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to our show and YouTube channel.
Until next time, keep exploring the cosmos.